Good evening. You ever wonder about things? For instance, you ever looked around and you wonder about Caleb Harris's and Riley and other individuals who've died in waterways? And their death certificates still say undetermined. And then you begin to listen to narratives and monologues and thought talks from different people. And you begin to see a pattern of some individuals who are always at these scenes. In, thank you. Where individuals go missing in waterways. And it makes you, let me know. It makes you think of what's going on. Wondering why certain people always show up at the same places that young men are dying. You ready?
Yeah. Put it on.
There you go. And once you see a pattern, a connection that's been going on for years, I mean years, even before the internet took off, and the same individuals show up for individuals who have died in waterways, it makes you think. There's a pattern. And when you go and you have your recording device and you sit there and you listen to these people tell you stories, and you get their stories. That orange plant needs more water, please.
Yeah, I know.
And you get these stories from individuals who say was there 15 years ago when someone went missing and they died in water. There's nothing left to the remains except their skeletal uh, surfaces, because the ecosystem took away everything, their flesh, just like it did with Caleb. And you see a pattern over and over again. But you weren't there 15, 16 years ago. But other people were. They were in the original states of these individuals who went missing and were later found in waterways. Many people would say, well, that's a coincidence. Individuals show up everywhere. But it's not a coincidence if the same individual keeps on showing up, or individuals keep on showing up at the same places that young men are dying in waterways. It's not a coincidence. It's a pattern. And when you get recording from the victims and the witnesses that were there, and you see a pattern over 15, 16, 17 years, then there's something to it. And when you do something like this, you have to take in consideration each of those individuals' lives. You're talking about death certificates 17 years later that are still marked undetermined. You're talking about Caleb Harris, who 2 years and 7 months, 6 months ago, who was found in a water treatment facility drain pump station. And when someone is killing or participating in the death of someone in waterways, They are expert at waterway management. But a lot of people don't understand 17 years later that forensic science has changed. And if all the cases that are marked undetermined can be linked, that some form of forensic data, whether it be DNA or other forensic evidence, can connect all 17 cases together. It will happen. There are many individuals in different states who believe and hold faith with these parents, like Caleb's parents. They believe their son was murdered. And I believe he was murdered too. I believe Larry was murdered over in Kansas. And can you imagine having 17 or 18 years behind you, knowing someone did that to your child or to your nephew, and you're waiting for science to do more, to offer more, so you can find closure? You already found the corpse. What's remaining of it? You already have that. But you want closure on what happened to your loved one. I guess you get dulled in the senses and you really don't have a, you're numb. You really don't want to talk about it. You don't want to speak about it. And when you're to that point where you don't want to speak about it, you don't want to rehash or be thrown to the wolves on social media platforms, but you still want to bring recognition and some type of comprehension to your loved one, some type of closure, you're going to do that. And you're going to be patient. And if your nephew dies, and your auntie or your tio or tio or tia has been waiting a long time to see who killed you, that's aunt or uncle in Spanish, you're going to pass that on to the next generation. And they're going to honor your memories of the one. They're going to carry it forward. There's no doubt in my mind by 2028 that all 17 of these deaths will be connected. There's no doubt. You just have to be patient. You have to have some kind of hope. And it's a very sad situation. But people do not appear in areas where people die in waterways over and over again without there being some reason or rhyme to the presence there. There's a reason why they're there. And even if law enforcement, federal law enforcement, has any idea that something's going on, they're not going to tell the families. They don't want to, which in a way is a good thing, I guess, because they don't want to give them hope and then it be dead ass and we can't prove it. We need more. And that's what they're going to say. But consideration who's out here with the faith that their loved one's case, their loved one on this earth. Because sooner or later, it's going to come back around. And there's going to be an answer for all of those. There's 17 families all over the country who lost young men to waterways. It's going to come full circle. And you will get closure. You're going to get more than the remains. Some people, they'd rather know what happens instead of having the remains. And some people, they just want to know what happened. They don't really need to have the remains. Either way is up to the families on how they see that. But the most important thing is that families and the victims themselves are the most important torch to keep it going. Because if it's open, then some of these cases will be just swallowed by the wayside. Because who in their right mind thinks a 17-year-old case is important? Who believes that in the public sphere? Who believes that a 17-year-old case can help you find a killer today? Putting along, putt. To keep on putting along. Because if you don't, then what have you done for your family member? Nothing. So, those are my thoughts about coincidences happening with people. I don't believe coincidences just. I believe people in the same places and the same deaths occur for a reason. Either they know the killer or they're participating themselves. But it takes a long time to prove that. And I want to say to those 17 families, don't give up hope. Because there are a lot of retired police officers, deputy sheriffs from those 17 states who remember your cases. They consider your loved ones, although their remains have been found, to have had a meaning in life. And that's the most important thing. They have some form of respect for your dead loved ones. And that is the most important part. You all have a good evening. Bye-bye.